This is what I would call one of the most popular trails at Duthie Hill, and it's called VooDoo Child. This is a blue freeride bike trail, and I really like it. It has enough wooden features to satisfy your needs, and it also has some pretty cool drops and jumps. Even though the sign says mandatory jumps and drops, you can go around all of them. So I'll start from talking about how to get here from the central clearing. The first way to get here is from the Luna lines. You take the same trail as you would up, and then you see this sign that says a few trails ahead. I went over this in Duthie Hill Mountain Bike Park review, so if you want an in-depth description, just watch that. Anyway, once you're at the top, you'll cross under the bridge for Semper Dirticus, and then you'll see Deepwater Horizon with VooDoo Child right to the right of it. So now I'll talk to you about the trail and go in-depth about each feature. At the start, you have 3 wooden drops. The smallest one is about 8 inches, the middle one is about a foot, and the biggest one is about 2 feet. Although the landings could use a bit of fixing, the drops themselves don't feel that bad. I also like how you can progress on them, just like the ones in the main clearing. If you're an advanced rider, these drops can also give you a really fun pre-hop, and you can land very far down. The approach to the drops are also very good. When you're going to the second and third one, you'll notice that you have to go to one side of a tree, and if you're going to the first one or you're going around all 3 of them, you have to go to the other side of the tree. After the drops, you go down into a really steep valley and then into a step-up, which is optional. I usually go around the step-up just because I kind of feel like it throws you forward too far. The step-up reminds me of a smaller version of Deepwater Horizon, but it's poorly built. Another reason that I don't like it is because there's a huge braking bump right before that's on the left side, and that's the same side as the step-up, so it has a really awkward approach. After the step-up, you go around a turn, and then you'll see where you can do a big drop, which is the biggest one so far, or you can go around it. Since most people go around on the go-around side, there are a lot of braking bumps, but I'm not going to complain about that because I don't usually do it. I usually go for the double diamond drop, which people call the big bad wolf drop. The thing that I really like about this is that on the approach you can get a ton of speed and you can pre-hop it too. The landing's also really good and it leads into a nice fun jump. Another thing that I really like about this drop is how smooth it feels. The drop on Semper, which is right next to it at this point, is really rough, but this one you can get a lot of speed because it's so smooth. The overall drop is about 4 feet, but it doesn't feel anywhere near as big as the third drop at the start. Another thing I want to mention is the rating. This is a double diamond, but it says extreme caution with a skull. I don't understand that, and if that's on there, then it should be on the third drop at the start, because that one feels a lot harder. After the drop, you go into another big valley, but it's not as steep as the first one, and then you hit a mild jump. The lip is not steep at all, and there's also this random, more difficult side in the woods to the left of it, but I think there was a step up there prior to the year. After you land on the jump, then you go around a normal berm, but there's not really much of an angle to it. After that, you go around a few more turns and then into a berm that banks left. This berm is a pretty cool one, although there are some braking bumps that could use a little bit of work. After that, you go into another little straight section, and then you hit your next jump. This jump can actually be considered 2 jumps because on one side it's a little cobblestone lip, and on the other side it's more of a gap, but it is a tabletop. Which side you take is more based on preference than skill. The one to the left without the cobblestone is a bigger jump, but it's not as steep, and it also has a better landing. The one with the cobblestone's a little more poppy, but it's also small, and it has a really bad landing because that's what most people do. After that jump, you go into a little turn. It's not a berm, just a normal little turn, doesn't bank. And then you go into another valley. This one is really small, but it is very steep, and the crest at the bottom is very huge. The main issue I have with this is that it's not really fun. The jump is fun because you have a really good landing and it's steep. But the problem that it is that there's so many braking bumps. This goes back to saying that this is the most popular trail here, and you can expect it to have braking bumps, but still, I think they should definitely look into fixing it. After that jump, you go around a berm and then into a few rollers. Then you go to my favorite part of the trail, which is the wall ride. This is really fun, and it's only one of 2 wall rides in Duthie Hill. The other wall ride's on Semper, and it's actually just a few feet away. But what I like about this one more than that is that there's 2 levels to it. If you consider them levels, which I do, I think that makes more sense than considering them rows, because you can go on the low side, which isn't banked as much, or the high side, which is like an almost vertical berm. These are really fun, but I usually take the upper one just because it gives you a bit more speed going into the other jumps, but either one of the sides is fun. After the small drop exiting the wall ride, you go into another little hill. To the left there's a jump, and to the right you can just roll it. Then you go into an optional jump and a go-around. That's another thing that I really like about this trail is that they have go-arounds for a lot of the stuff if you're not willing to do it. The drop, the Big Bad Wolf drop, took me a long time to progress on, so it was really nice to have that go-around. But this one, it's just a really fun jump, and I like the big one because if you get enough speed, you can land pretty far down, and then you go into the last two jumps, which I also like. The last one isn't as good as the second to last one because it has so many braking bumps, but I guess I should just forget about that because it's one of the most popular trails here. Again, this trail is the intermediate trail here, and that's the main trail of the flow park, so everyone rides it all the time. This second to last jump, I really think it's built well, and it has a cobblestone lip just like a bunch of the other ones. The last jump's also good, and it gives you some pretty good air, but the braking bumps just really kill it. There's also a gap jump option, which the gap is about 4.5 to 5 feet. I really think this gap is a lot of fun, but I take my preference over the tabletops usually, just because you're getting an extra jump in there. When you're done with everything, you'll converge to another clearing, and let me warn you, the braking bumps will hurt your hands, so brake before you get to them. So that's about it for this video. In next week's video, I'll be reviewing 3 products that have a relation to mountain biking. Here's the entire trail.